From the desperate lunge, mined suicide bombers of the Pacific to the devastating 88mm PaK-43. These are the anti-tank weapons that turned infantry into tank killers and transformed the battlefield into a graveyard for armored giants. We start our list with anti-tank rifles. Boy's anti-tank rifle, affectionately known as the elephant gun. This British 55 caliber monster weighed 36 pounds and kicked like an artillery piece. Infantry teams used it against early Panzer models before armor thickness made it obsolete. PTRD 41. The Soviet answer to German tanks was this single-shot bolt-action beast. Firing a 14.5mm armor-piercing round, it could penetrate 25mm of armor at 500 meters. Simple, reliable, and devastating against half-tracks and light vehicles. Next, the PTRS 41. This semi-automatic variant gave Soviet troops rapid follow-up shots with its 5-round magazine. Heavier than the PTRD at 46 pounds, it delivered sustained firepower against German armor in the early war years. The Type 97 automatic cannon. Japan's 20mm gas-operated anti-tank rifle packed serious punch with its 7-round box magazine. At 152 pounds, it required a crew to operate, but could tear through light armor at extended ranges. WZ-35. Poland's 7.92mm anti-tank rifle fired specialized armor-piercing ammunition capable of defeating all German tanks in 1939. Light and mobile, it gave Polish defenders a fighting chance during the invasion. Solothurn S-18 100s. This Swiss-designed 20mm semi-automatic rifle saw action with multiple armies. Its powerful round could defeat early war armor, and its recoil dampening system made it surprisingly manageable for its class. Moving on to the PZB-39, Germany's 7.92mm anti-tank rifle represented their early war philosophy. Single shot and bolt action, it quickly became inadequate against improving Allied armor, but remained in service against softer targets. Next on the list are rocket launchers. M1 Bazooka. America's revolutionary 2.36-inch rocket launcher changed infantry anti-tank warfare forever. Lightweight at 13 pounds, it gave two-man teams the ability to engage armor from 300 yards with shaped charge warheads. The M9A1 Bazooka improved everything about its predecessor. Better electrical firing system, reinforced tube, and improved sights made it the standard American tank killer from 1943 onward. Up next, the M18 recoilless rifle. This 57mm shoulder-fired weapon appeared late in the war. Firing a powerful anti-tank round with minimal recoil, it bridged the gap between bazookas and towed guns. Panzerschreck. Officially the Raketenpanzerbuchse 54, troops nicknamed it the Offenrohr, or stovepipe. This 88mm German rocket launcher was essentially an enlarged bazooka, capable of penetrating 6 inches of armor at close range. A nightmare for Allied tank crews. Now this is the Panzerfaust 30. Germany's disposable rocket launcher revolutionized anti-tank tactics. Single shot, effective to 30 meters, and simple enough for any soldier to use. It turned every German infantryman into a potential tank killer. The Panzerfaust 60 extended engagement range and increased the warhead size. More reliable ignition and better penetration made it devastatingly effective in the rubble of Berlin and other urban battles. Then there's the Panzerfaust 100. The ultimate evolution featured 100-meter range and maximum armor penetration. Late war production meant fewer reached the front, but those that did were terrifying. Piat. Britain's projector, infantry, anti-tank used a unique spring-loaded spigot mortar system. Heavy, difficult to cock, and temperamental, it nevertheless knocked out German armor throughout northwest Europe when positioned correctly. Continuing with anti-tank grenades. RPG-43. The Soviet handheld anti-tank grenade featured a shaped charge warhead on a wooden handle. Simple and effective, Red Army infantry could destroy German tanks at suicidal close range. Next, the RPG-6. An improved Soviet design with better penetration and more reliable fusing. The shaped charge could defeat most German armor when properly placed against vulnerable points. Number 74, Sticky Bomb. Britain's desperate measure involved a glass sphere filled with nitroglycerin covered in adhesive. Dangerous to the user and unreliable in combat, it represented the dark days of 1940. The gammon bomb replaced the sticky bomb with a fabric bag filled with plastic explosive and an impact fuse. British paratroopers and commandos favoured this improvised terror weapon for destroying vehicles and equipment. Haftladung. Germany's magnetic hollow charge device stuck to tank hulls and detonated with devastating effect. 3 powerful magnets held it in place, while the 3-kilogram shape charge burned through armor. Now, the Type 3 AT grenade. Japan's cone-shaped anti-tank grenade required precise placement, but could defeat armor when thrown against engine decks or turret rings. Molotov cocktail. The improvised petrol bomb became legendary during the Winter War. Soviet soldiers destroyed over 2,400 German armored vehicles with these primitive but effective incendiaries throughout the war. Then there's the Telemine 35. Though primarily an anti-tank mine, German infantry often employed these as improvised demolition charges. 7 kilograms of explosive could destroy any tank if placed correctly. Lunge mine. Japan's ultimate desperation weapon attached a shape charge to a pole. The operator literally impaled enemy tanks with this device, usually dying in the resulting explosion. Suicidal, but effective. Moving on to the Geballte Ladung. German stick grenades bundled together created a powerful, improvised anti-tank weapon. 6 or 7 grenades wrapped around a central detonator could blow tracks or damage thin armor. Let's move on to light anti-tank guns. 3.7 centimeter Pak 36. Germany's standard early war anti-tank gun quickly earned the derisive nickname Door Knocker when it proved inadequate against Allied armor. At just 450 kilograms, it was highly mobile but ineffective. The 37mm M3 gave American infantry their first dedicated anti-tank capability. Pulled by jeeps, firing armor-piercing rounds at 2,600 feet per second, it served effectively in the early Pacific campaigns. 45mm M1937. The Soviet 45mm anti-tank gun saw extensive service throughout the war. Compact and mobile, it could defeat German Panzer IIIs and IVs from the flanks, even after frontal armor became too thick. Up next, the Type 94 37mm. Japan's standard anti-tank gun was essentially a licensed German Pak 36. Light and mobile for jungle warfare, it struggled against American medium tanks, but remained effective against lighter vehicles. Now this is the 2-pounder. Britain's early war 40mm anti-tank gun proved effective in France and North Africa. Mounted on a 3-legged platform for 3 60-degree traverse, it gave British infantry essential firepower. Bofors 37mm. This Swedish-designed anti-tank gun served with multiple armies. Reliable and accurate, it provided effective anti-armor capability for nations lacking indigenous designs. The 5cm Pak 38 replaced Germany's inadequate 37mm gun. Weighing 1,000 kilograms and firing tungsten core ammunition, it could defeat most Allied armor at reasonable ranges throughout 1941 and 1942. 47mm M1936. Italy's standard anti-tank gun fired a respectable shell, but lacked penetration against heavier armor. Mobile and reliable, it served throughout the Mediterranean theater. Moving on to medium anti-tank guns. 57mm M1. The American version of Britain's 6-pounder arrived in 1943. Powerful and accurate, it gave US infantry battalions organic anti-tank firepower capable of defeating most German armor. 6-pounder QF. Britain's 57mm quick-firing gun became the standard anti-tank weapon from 1942 onward. Firing armor-piercing rounds at high velocity, it could penetrate German medium tanks at tactical ranges. The The 57mm ZIS-2. Soviet gun designers created this powerful weapon in 1941, but production ceased because it was too effective and expensive. Reintroduced in 1943, it became a German tank killer. Next, the 76mm M1942 ZIS-3. Originally designed as a divisional field gun, the ZIS-3's dual-purpose capability made it invaluable. High explosive for infantry support, armor-piercing for tanks, all from one reliable platform. Type 1, 47mm. Japan's attempt to create a more powerful anti-tank gun resulted in this weapon. Better than the Type 94, but never produced in sufficient numbers to make a difference. Now, the 75mm M5. America's 75mm towed anti-tank gun provided mobile firepower for tank destroyer units. High muzzle velocity and powerful shells made it effective through war's end. Finally, we have heavy anti-tank guns, 7.5cm PRK-40. Germany's principal anti-tank gun from 1942 onward. This 75mm weapon could defeat any Allied tank at combat ranges. Over 20,000 produced, it became the backbone of German anti-tank defense. The 17-pounder QF. Britain's 76.2mm gun was one of the war's finest anti-tank weapons. Capable of penetrating Tiger and Panther armor, it equipped Firefly tanks and towed units throughout northwest Europe. 3-inch M5. America's 76mm anti-tank gun provided heavy firepower for dedicated anti-tank units. Effective against all but the heaviest German armor, it served primarily in towed configurations. Up next, the 7.5cm PAK-41. This squeeze-bore weapon used a tapered barrel to achieve extraordinary muzzle velocities and penetration. Tungsten ammunition shortages limited its deployment, but it could defeat any Allied tank. Now this is the 85mm D-44. Appearing late in the war, this Soviet gun combined divisional artillery and anti-tank roles. Powerful enough to defeat German heavy tanks, it remained in service for decades. 8.8cm Flak 37. The legendary German 88mm anti-aircraft gun became history's most famous tank killer. Erwin Rommel employed these guns in anti-tank roles throughout North Africa, devastating British armor at long range. The 8.8cm PAK-43. Purpose-built as an anti-tank gun, this monster could penetrate any Allied tank at extraordinary ranges. Germans nicknamed it the Scheunentor, or barn door, because of its massive shield. Devastatingly effective but difficult to conceal. Then there's the 90mm M1 M2. America's heavy anti-tank and anti-aircraft gun served dual roles. Mobile on its carriage and capable of defeating German heavy armor, it arrived late but proved formidable. 122mm A-19. Soviet heavy guns pressed into anti-tank service could obliterate German armor with high explosive rounds. Though not designed for direct fire, desperate situations made them tank killers through sheer destructive power. Finally, the 128mm PAK-44. Germany's ultimate anti-tank gun existed only as prototypes. Capable of destroying any Allied tank at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters, production never reached operational units before war's end.